What's going on, everybody? This is Benjamin Bok Choi bringing you another F1 2020 video, and today I have a little fun video for you guys. Gonna be going back and looking at my fastest time trial times on the PS4 compared to my fastest time trial times on the PC. So just for a little background information, I have been playing the F1 game seriously since F1 2019 came out. At that point, I was using a PS4 and a Logitech G29 steering wheel combo. I've since upgraded to a CSL Elite with the CSL Elite brake set with the load cell kit and a V2 rim with the APM shifter paddles. So I've updated my gear and I've updated my playing system. And I just kind of wanted to go back and see if my times have improved. So I switched over to PC and I bought the CSL Elite about the first or second week of November. I made the switch to PC and the CSL Elite within about 2 weeks of each other. So I'd be quite interested to see how much change there is. There are some lap times that might seem a little bit more updated than PS4, as when I'm rendering videos on my PC, it takes such a long time that sometimes I'll jump back onto the PS4 to just run a race against the AI or do a couple of laps around a certain track. So if you do see a lap time that was set really recently or more recently than November, it's for that reason. But anyway, before I went and recorded my lap times on the PS4, I did do a few laps on the PS4 just to see how it felt, and I'm sure it's got something to do with the processing power of the PS4, but the force feedback on the wheel felt really weak. It didn't feel quite as detailed. I didn't feel like I had quite as much control over the car as I normally do when I'm playing on the PC. Also, it was really weird trying to get traction out of traction zones. It felt like it took a little bit longer than usual to get traction in the car. I also experienced a lot of locking up in the braking zones. Again, I'm sure that's just to do with the lack of power of consoles. This is on a PS4 Slim. It's not even a PS4 Pro, so it almost felt like I was playing an entirely different game. Obviously I did kind of get a feel for it after a few laps, but I definitely would not want to make the switch back over to the PS4 anytime soon. But yeah, kudos to you guys that can get really fast times on the consoles, because it just feels so much better on PC. But without further ado, now that you have that background information, let's jump to our lap times. So starting right away with Australia on the PS4 with a 119.762. 119.509 on PC, only about a 0.2 difference in improvement there. I have been improving on this track. I'm able to beat the AI at 105 without the racing line. But I'm going to say this about every track. I feel like I can still use a little bit more improvement. 2,309th on the position charts. Not too bad. I try to aim for the top 2,500. So this is on the low end, but this is still a pretty good lap time. Bahrain on the PS4, a 125.741. And on the PC, it is a 125.109. So over 0.7 of a second improvement here. 1,519th on the position charts. I've only recently made improvements on this track within the last couple of months or so. I used to have so much trouble on this track beforehand, but 105 AI, no racing line, not an issue anymore. Vietnam, 134.893 on the PS4. On the PC, it is a 133.526. So just about 1.3 seconds in improvement. 1705 on the position charts. What really helped here was a couple of weekly events at Vietnam. Used to be a terrible track for me. Didn't used to like it. Didn't used to drive well here. But after the weekly events a few weeks back, it's actually become one of my personal favorite tracks. And as you can see, 1.3 second improvement really shows that. China, 130.352 on the PS4, excuse me. And on PC, 129.603. So just a little under a second improvement here. 2903, lower than I would like on the position charts. Admittedly, not a favorite track of mine. I have a lot of issues with Sector 3, that really long understeer right-hand turn before the back straight. I can never seem to get traction out of that corner there properly. And then the final couple of corners always give me problems, so I can stand to improve a little bit at this track, and not really a favorite or a strong track for me at this moment. But I look at it as an opportunity to improve my driving ability before F1 2021 comes out. So up next is the Netherlands, Zandvoort 109.568 on the PS4, 109.025 on the PC. So only about a half a second improvement, and again, really low on the position charts, 38.83. But it's really short lap, so it's kind of difficult to really find areas to improve, and it's also a popular track amongst players, so there's going to be a ton of guys on this track running this track constantly, but yeah, not a really strong track for me here. Spain, a 115.665 on the PS4, a 115.041 on the PC. So just about 0.6 improvement since jumping onto PC. 44.78, another terrible lap time for me. Just can't seem to get a handle on this track. Although admittedly don't spend too much time on this track, so I could probably just spend a little bit more time practicing and I can find some more time. Monaco 111.080 on the PS4, 109.308 on the PC, so about 1.7 seconds improvement. On the position charts, still not that great, 35.42, but still a great improvement when it comes to PS4 and PC, my switch over. But yeah, I can probably still use a little bit more time. Again, not a really strong track for me. Azerbaijan 138.620 on the PS4, 138.212 on PC. Only about 0.4 improvement since jumping over to PC. 24.92 on the time trial position chart, so not too terrible. But I still haven't gotten a grasp on the esports line through turn 15, which could probably save maybe 2 or 3 tenths if done properly. So I think once I get a handle on that, the time will improve a little bit. Canada 109.032 and a 108.347, so about 6-7 tenths a second improvement since making the switch over to PC. 22.35 on the position charts, still a little over 1.4 seconds behind the esports drivers on the leaderboard. But the weekly event and the overtaking challenge that happened within the last few months actually really helped me with improving my time here, and I'm also working on running without the racing line at Canada. France 128.721 on PS4. On PC it is a 127.617, so over a second an improvement since making the switch to PC. Good enough for 16.35. There was a weekly event with an overtaking challenge here a few weeks back which helped me improve drastically on this track. So, if you have some time on your hands, check out the weekly events. They'll definitely help you out with improving your times. A favorite track of mine. Austria 103.452 on PS4. 102.949 on PC. So only about 0.4 of a second improvement here, but again, another really short lap, so really difficult to find areas for improvement. I've kind of plateaued at this track, but I have found that my race pace has actually gotten much better. I can do 110 against the AI without the race line and actually do pretty well. Britain 124.880 on PS4 versus on PC 124.295, so about a half a second improvement. 15.26 on the position charts in time trials. Even though this track is one of my quicker tracks, it's really difficult against the AI just because this is probably the strongest track for the AI when you're racing them in Grand Prix mode. Even at 105, I can usually do really well at most tracks, but at this track at 105, I still find it tough to get into the podium positions against the AI, as it is a really hard track, but one of my personal favorites and probably one of my better tracks. So Hungary is next, 114.289 on the PS4, and on PC we have a 113.504, so about 7 or 8 tenths improvement. 2342 on position charts. There was an overtaking challenge as a weekly event here a couple of months back now. I don't remember how long ago it was, but again, that really helped me improve on this track, and 105 without the racing line assist is really doable for me now. It's just difficult just because it's so tight and windy to overtake, so hopefully you just qualify well and start at the front and you can do well in a race here. So Belgium, 142.156 on the PS4, set back in October, and on PC 141.209. So only about a half a tenth away from being a full second improvement. One of my better tracks here, as you can see, I'm in the top 1,000 for time trial positions here. Probably one of my more favorite tracks, but since it's such a long track, it's really difficult to put a neat and tidy lap together because there's just so much more room for mistakes. But if I can get a really good lap going, it's really difficult for other people to beat me at this track. So Italy is 118.738 on the PS4. Probably one of my favorite tracks again, Monza here. On the PC is a 118.375, so only about a 4/10 improvement since making the switch over to PC. As you can see, the lap that I set on the PS4 is actually more recent than the lap that I set on the PC, and that's because I jump onto the PS4 to do some laps sometimes when I'm rendering on my PC, so that's probably why the lap is a little bit more recent on the PS4. But again, this is probably one of my favorite tracks here. 110 without the racing line assist has become really easy for me since the esports qualifying event here in the Mercedes back in like October. Singapore 135.743 on the PS4, and on the PC we have a 134.514, so 1.2 seconds improvement. The classic car races in the 2 consecutive weekly events that we had just a few weeks ago actually really helped me at this track. How? It's because if you can take curb in the classic cars, you're more than likely going to be able to take curb in the modern day 2020 cars. So even though we're 41-47 at Singapore, I still feel like this is the track that I'm probably improving the most at recently, and it's become actually one of my more favorite tracks, and without the racing line I can actually do pretty well here. Russia 131.751 on the PS4, set back in September. That was a while ago. 131.040 on PC, set back in December, so only about 7/10 improvement. But admittedly, I don't spend too much time on this track just because I don't really like it. I never seek out this track in online lobbies to race, and it's as you can see, I haven't set a decent lap here in time trials since 2020, so I could probably use a little bit more improvement on this track. I should probably spend more time practicing on this track. I might actually find that I may drive better now that I've been improving in general in the game. So that'll be a point to take care of before 2021. Suzuka 126.983 on the PS4 and 126.667, only a 3/10 improvement since jumping onto the PC. And again, just like with Russia, even though Russia's not popular, Suzuka is really popular with most of the F1 fandom, but personally not a super favorite track of mine. And again, I don't spend too much time on this track, and I'm only 44.08 on the position charts in time trial, so yeah, I could probably use a little bit more improvement on this track, but it's not a really favorite track of mine, so I don't spend too much time here. And again, I don't go out looking for Suzuka in online lobbies. So USA 130.384 on PS4, and on the PC it is a 129.804, so 5 5/10, half a second improvement. Actually, probably one of my stronger tracks. As you can see, 1276 on the position charts in time trial. Never used to like this track until the esports qualifying event where you're in the McLaren, and for some reason something just clicked while I was doing that challenge, and I've just seen a huge improvement since then. So it's become one of my favorite tracks after not being a really favorite track of mine for the longest time, but I do really like Coda now. Mexico 114.799, so 114.8 on the PS4, and 113.7 on the PC. Just like with Coda, Mexico didn't used to be a really fun track for me back when I was still using the racing line assist, but for some reason when I turned the racing line assist off and I tried this track, it just came to me really naturally and intuitively, and a track that I used to hate running at. It really, in career mode, I used to set this race for 5 laps because I hated it that much. Now I'm 1872 on the position charts, and Mexico's become one of my favorite tracks in the game, and like I said, without the racing line, I'm actually really good at this track now, and it's just really weird how that kind of turned out. Brazil 107.920 on the PS4, and on PC it is a 107.132, so about 0.8 of a second improvement. Again, not really strong compared to everybody else, only 36.55, but with the other short tracks here, the lap is so short that it's really difficult to find areas for improvement. And as you can see, the PS4 lap time was just set today because I was screwing around with it while I was doing the recording for the lap time. So it was about a 0.2 improvement. So I guess in total on the PS4 is about 108.1. So yeah, it was about a second improvement since I made the switch. Abu Dhabi, the last track, 135.099 on the PS4. And on the PC, it is a 133.780, so about 1.2, a little over 1.2 seconds in improvement. Again, 3174 in the position chart, so not really strong compared to my other tracks. But I used to absolutely hate this track, and now I hate it a little bit less. So it's probably still my second least favorite track next to Russia, but I can probably still use them. Take some more time to practice on this track, and I'm sure I'll find a little bit more improvement in my lap time. So as you can see, there were some tracks where I greatly improved, in some instances by over a second, and then other tracks where I didn't improve too much, just by about 3 or 4 tenths on those specific tracks. But you can see there is a general progression in my lap times since around November or so, and that there are a lot of things that have to do with that improvement. One, as I already mentioned earlier, is making the switch over to the PC. The PS4 handling is a little bit slow and sluggish, didn't seem super responsive. The force feedback coming through the wheel, even through to my CSL Elite wheelbase, didn't feel strong, didn't feel super detailed. I was having trouble with traction, having trouble locking up the brakes, and the PC just handles the force feedback a little bit better. Even on the G29, when I ran it on the PC, felt so much smoother than on the console on the PS4. I do only have a base model PS4, so I'm not sure if maybe a PS4 Pro handles the force feedback a little bit better, but on the slim model, it's night and day when you compare it to the PC. So that definitely helped with my lap time improvement. I was racing at about 90-95 AI difficulty while still on the PS4, and now that I jumped onto PC, I kind of upped the difficulty a little bit more and more. So that probably helped me as well. Racing against more difficult AI drivers will help you find some more time on your laps. And second is finding a setup for your rig that really works for you. So I used to just use these 65 rubber bushings on my load cell brakes, and then I watched a Jarno Altmaier video where he mentioned that he used the 85 rubber bushings. So I switched over to the 85s, and they felt much better than the 65s. 65s was just too soft. There was too much travel distance in the brakes, and the 85s felt okay, but after a while I started getting like foot pain in my toes because I'd scrunch up my toes when I hit the brakes, and a little bit of pain in my knees, my left knee, my braking knee. So I decided to mess around with it a little bit, and now I'm using a combination of 65 and 85 bushings, and I alternate them. So there's a 65, then an 85, 65, 85, 65, 85 in my brake pedal right now, and it seems to work perfect for me. So finding or adjusting your setup to a setting that that fits your driving style is really key to improving your lap times. You can kind of take advice from other people, but at the end of the day, everybody's a different height, different weight. They sit differently in their seat. So messing around with that stuff will definitely help you out. Don't just take the wheelbase or the pedal kit as you get it from Fanatec or Thrustmaster and just use it the way they sent it to you. Make some adjustments to it to fit your driving style, your sitting style, and it'll definitely help you out with your driving, or at least it's helped me anyway. And then on top of that, putting in the time, watching the fastest drivers in the world. There's plenty of YouTube videos, whether it's Jarno Opmeer or Josh Idowu or Tom Martinez, Tom97. Those guys know what they're doing. They're racing at like the highest levels of professional or amateur racing leagues. So definitely watch those guys race. Watch where they're braking. Their brake and throttle trace on the bottom of the screen, and where they're turning in, and just kind of their philosophy and their strategy when they go into races, and kind of try to mimic what they do, because you only get better by doing what the best do. At least that's what I do anyway. And then obviously the most important thing is practice. I think Josh Idowu put out a video earlier this week where he put up the hours played in game for like some of the esports guys, and they're pushing like 800, 900, 1,000 hours in game. I think right now I'm at about 500 hours, and I'm nowhere near those guys, but those guys have been playing this game seriously since like F1 2014, 2015, and I just kind of picked up this game last year. But you can see it doesn't take long to improve. I went from 60 losing to 60 AI difficulty to now being able to handle my own against 105 and 110. It's just going to take some time. I'm not looking to get into esports or anything like that. I'm just kind of racing for fun and looking to help other guys improve in their driving as I improve. But yeah, just wanted to throw those lap times up there for you, give you a couple pointers, and hopefully help you guys improve your own time. That's about it. This video is getting a little bit too long, and I don't want to wait 3 hours for this video to render on my piece of crap computer. So yeah, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you think I've earned it, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Remember to eat your bok choy, and stay tuned for some more videos. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I'll try my best to get back to you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video.